Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we proudly present our spectacular show of podcast magic and imagination full of Disney wonder, news, and pop culture. It's the Main Street Electrical Podcast with Jenn Dave and David Dollar.
Hey, Jen.
Hey, Dave.
It's the Main Street Electrical Podcast, episode number 145. We are back with another week of fun and frivolity and pixie dust and all that good stuff. We're going to talk about Disney. We'll talk about Universal. We'll talk a little bit about, this, that, and the other. And, of course, Run Disney, which we'll be coming up with. And to talk about Run Disney, we have on one of our favorites. The audience, you hear her name mentioned frequently. Although you may not see her a lot. That, of course, is Kyla, one of our fellow agents, one of our good friends in the agency. Hello, Kyla.
Hello, here I am.
Here you are. And so, of course, top of the show, we have to ask you, Kyla, how did you Disney this week?
I had to think about that. But, I mean, I guess each day I start off with drinking tea out of a Disney mug. So that's how I just start my day every day.
Do you have one Disney mug every day?
I have that mug.
Do you change a mug every day, like a different mug?
And it came with like the most adorable
coaster.
Yes, it's so cute. I change it up every day, David, because variety is the spice of life.
Nice. I do the same thing with my shirts. I change obviously don't want to wear the same shirt every day, but I wear mostly Disney shirts pretty much. Like I've got my People Mover shirt all right here. And because we were talking with past and future guest Derek Frank last night, and one of the things he said is he dresses up for the day. Even if he doesn't have a lot going on, he gets ready like he's going to a job interview or something because he dresses for his job. Not that he's in suit and tie, but he dresses for the job he does. And I'm kind of the same way. I'm like, I want to make sure that I'm dressed festive and magical per day if I can. Jen, how did you Disney this week?
Well, yesterday I actually debuted what we're going to be talking about, my Run Disney shirt at the gym.
Nice.
The one that Kyla's wearing. So it's mine's in the wash because I worked at the gym yesterday. So that is, and then I'm wearing my Marvel sweatshirt today because this is like my comfy working at my desk shirt. So
we all have those.
Nice.
We all have those working at the desk sweatshirts.
So if you watch on YouTube, you probably see this one a lot. It's not that it's the only thing I own. It's because it's comfortable and easy to throw on.
Well, I have Disney because this week, they have Funkos are my thing. I don't know why Funkos are just they're too expensive, and I don't know why I keep buying them, but I keep buying them. And so I ended up buying one yesterday, or a couple of days ago. It's Walt with a little notepad. He's like a grayed out Walt. He's like a black and white Walt holding a little notepad there with Mickey on it, which is really cool. So I also have ordered a Walt Disney Funko Walt with the train. So it's like basically like, I'm actually going to send this to you guys in a messenger so you can see what I'm talking about here. It's Walt. He's in like one of the railroads and everything, looking all cool and stuff. And, I ordered it, I don't know, several months ago. I pre-ordered it. It's coming out in March. I'm really excited about this. It's going to be really, really cool. Well, I discovered this week on Amazon, it's the first piece of like a 5-part set.
Oh.
I'm like, now I have to get them all. Dang it. Yeah. And the next one is Steamboat Willie. It attaches to the train. It's Steamboat Willie in his own little box car. The whole thing is his black and white and whatever. And it looks cool. And I'm like, I don't know what the next 3 are, but I have to get it because last year I got the Mickey, Minnie, and Pluto on the People Mover. Each one's the People Mover car. And it was the 50th anniversary version. Well, the Stitch was the kind of the completer Funko, which I didn't realize. And now it's on eBay for like $50. And I'm like, well, I can't get it now. I don't want to spend that much money on it. So I have to jump on these things as I get it. And Jen will know my Funko saga. When I did the Avengers like 2 years ago, I bought one every 6 to 8 weeks, and now I have the whole Avengers set and just, And
did you put them together?
I did. Well, I put them together, but there's nowhere to put them together on my desk.
Like to leave.
So currently, they're in the box on display on my shelves and stuff. But yeah, I need to kind of put those out so people can not see them in my office. So,
I also love that you got a Walt with a notebook because, as the agency knows, you and I love using notebooks. And Jen is probably at this, but I love my notebooks.
Of course, I'm using one right now. It's one that our dear friend Marcy sent to me. And so I have this, and I have the one you're holding up, Kyla. I have that one. And so I have, and you may have seen, but I've showed this to Jen via video. I have on top of my bookshelf like 8 notebooks that are unused. I haven't got to them yet, and they're all spiral bound because I don't do anything but spiral bound.
Spiral, have to be.
And I'm like, really, I shouldn't buy any notebooks for like the next 2 years. but if I find a cool one, I buy it and I just stick it there. I'm like, I'll get to these eventually. And so I think next up I have a Doctor Strange notebook I'm going to dive into at some point. And so, so let's talk a little bit of news. There's not a whole lot of news going on, but I did want to mention these three little topics here. First, rumor. It is a rumor, so I kind of want to get your reaction on this. If this is a good idea, bad idea. The rumor is that Merida, the meet and greet for Merida, is going away in Magic Kingdom. That little cove there, little alcove where they used to have a lot of the new princesses as they come out. Like I think Rapunzel was there, and then Merida moved in there. She's been there for a long time.
But it hasn't. She hasn't been there for a while.
Are you sure? Is it like pre-COVID?
I thought she'd been back.
Maybe not. Well,
Merida's back.
Oh, was she back?
That's what I was thinking.
We saw her last month.
Oh, well, maybe
we saw her in January on our trip.
Maybe every time I walked by, it just happened to be closed because I hadn't seen a line there in a while.
We saw
the rumor is
mane of hair in there.
Yeah.
The rumor is that Maribel from Encanto is going to be doing a meet and greet there in the Merida spot, which makes total sense right now.
That would make sense.
Maribel is very, very like kind of the new it girl, the new hit thing. Merida is great. People love Merida, but she is also in a movie that's 11 years old. Because I think it was 2012 maybe, and so it's not even a movie I like that much. I think it's fine. Seen it once. But Encanto is kind of the new rage. That's the big one, the big hit that everybody loves, and so. It makes total sense to put Maribel there. And I think putting Maribel or even some of the other characters there, my gosh, if they had a Bruno, that would be amazing.
So, oh my gosh. We don't talk about Bruno.
No, not at all. Not at all. But have Maribel and Luisa or Maribel and Ebula or some of the other characters with her out there. And that's a perfect little alcove, a little area there you can decorate with the magical and the house and things like that. And so crossing our fingers, I think that would be cool. Universal is opening their theme park in 2026, I believe, in Texas. I don't know much about this park. I heard the headline. They're opening a small little theme park area there in Texas.
Heard that
it's
too.
been approved. I think it's Frisco City, Texas. I believe it's been approved. We're going to have more information on that later, but that is happening. Meanwhile, I'm guessing by 2026, Disney will have probably completed the queue to Moana at some point. I don't know. I mean, just how slow they move. Josh, come on, buddy. You gotta pick up the pace. Let's go. Epic Universe is coming. It's going to be bad for you guys. Next little bit of news here, which I think is very interesting. And again, rumor, but everything is pointing to this being true, that Universal is closing down the Simpsons area. It's not on their homepage. If you go to Universal's page, you cannot find it where they have this hub where it's like San Francisco and New York and there's Harry Potter and all the areas. The Simpsons area is not on their homepage at all. I've verified that. I looked around for it. The rumor is that basically Disney owns the Simpsons now. They own it, and I think Universal is tired of paying royalty. They're paying royalty checks for Marvel, I'm sure, but I think they're tired of paying checks to Disney for Simpsons.
I feel like that ride over there, though, doesn't always get the best reviews. People get motion sick on that one.
It's not a good area. It's not immersive
not that
because it's hard to be immersive. It's a walkthrough. You walk through here and it's like, oh look, there's there's Duff Beer and there's that little twisty ride and there's the actual big ride, the Simpsons ride, and then that's it.
But that's
it's like you're not in Springville. You can stand at any point in that place and look around and see the entire rest of the park, and it just doesn't feel immersive at all.
I think they could do something better with that.
Yeah, well, that used to be where the Back to the Future ride was, and they just had one little Back to the Future area, and of course, over in that corner, is Men in Black and that area there.
Dude, I'd still go Back
to
the Future.
So I would too. I think if they brought that back, that would be amazing, or turn that into a retro park because I think E.T. is in that area. Isn't that right? Over in that corner?
They're about E.T.
I don't really love that ride, but yes. I think that's the same.
I would love to see them turn that into like a little retro corner. Bring Back to the Future back. Maybe throw in a Kong ride or something else from back then. Earthquake Jaws would be a big deal.
Jaws,
just make that a retro area. But yeah, it's does nothing for me. Simpsons does nothing for me. I've never been a Simpsons fan. I don't care.
Me neither.
But Disney owns them now, so. We're still waiting for Disney to cut the check to Universal and be like, hey, give us our Marvel back and y'all figure something else out, which I honestly think will happen in the next couple of years. And I think might have already been on the way to happening had COVID not happened because Disney had plenty of money back then. And, now not quite as much. But so that's really the only news that's coming up. Honestly, that we've got. Of course, the princesses are back at Cinderella's Royal Table, which is nice. The price went up, but it's like $79 now for adults for a meal. But all the princesses are there, which is great.
Yeah.
And so that's it. Let's talk a little bit about, however, this I did find online. There is an auction happening very soon. It's a 2-day Disney auction, and it is being put on by the Heritage Foundation, The Art of Disneyland from Stagecoaches to Monorails and More is what it's called. March 25th to 26th in Beverly Hills, California. Now, Jen, as the agency owner, if you want to send Kyla and I or whoever else out there to cover this, feel free to. We'll do that. We'll do that, and we can knock out Disneyland as well.
You guys are just so selfless.
And so, well, we're here for you. So this is basically ride vehicles from the park that are no longer in use. So you can actually bid on an actual used attraction vehicle from Snow White's Scary Adventures. Current bid right now is $5,100. So for that, not too terrible.
I was going to say that's actually not bad.
You can bid on a Skyway bucket, an actual Disneyland Skyway bucket. $5,200.
Amazing.
How much fun would that be in your house? I mean, like, honestly, you just have a Skyway.
I'm not sure what I would do with it, but like,
Isla, put that in your girls' rooms. They can have like a little picnic table there, and that'd be amazing.
And then I could make like a zip line in my backyard and put like the bucket on it.
That would be cool. That would be super cool.
I would really love like a car from Mr. Toad's, because that is like
iconic.
Well, there's not a car from Mr. Toad, but there is a car from Autopia, the Mark 7 car, designed by Disney Imagineer Bob Gurr. It was used in Autopia from 67 to, well, not used the entire time, but used back in the day. It's a Corvette Stingray inspired car.
Okay.
Right now, the price on the bidding, you can bid for this at this very moment. You can bid for this at $3,100, which is not a bad deal for this car. It's
that
an
is
actual
not
life-size Autopia car, or Tomorrowland Speedway. It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
So there's that. Jen, a Haunted Mansion Hatbox Ghost maquette by two of the designers, Kevin Kidney and Jolie Daly. It's really kind of cool. It's basically used. It's based on Imagineer Colin Campbell's stylization of the character of the Hatbox Ghost.
Okay.
As seen at Disneyland. It's about 13 inches high. Right now, you can actually bid on this beautiful thing for around $400, which is not bad at all. You could.
Wow.
That would be really cool. And there's a lot of things in this auction. I'm not going to go through all of them, obviously, but kind of the centerpiece for me, the one that I would absolutely love to have, is a monorail car, used from 84 to 90.
Oh my god!
A Walt Disney World monorail Mark IV cabin. Okay,
wow.
Not the engine, but the cabin. The bidding is around $1,500. So
I just don't know where I'd put that.
I feel like I could find
your backyard and you make it into a bar.
Right?
That's what I would do with that.
Yeah, I mean,
all right, then coming up. All right,
that's the whole thing. Is basically it's like 80 foot by 96 foot by 28 feet long. I'm sorry, 80 inches by 96 inches, 28 feet long. Condition fair to good with moderate wear throughout its use. So it's been used. But it's got my kid would love this.
This is like a legit monorail car that we're
legit monorail car. Yes,
Can you imagine like that? And Frank just comes home and there's like a monorail car sitting in our backyard, and I'm like, hey, welcome to our new bar.
Or even better, have it in the front of your house, or he has to walk through the monorail to get into your house. That would be awesome. And just the Melberg monorail. I mean, it's because one side could be the bar, the other side could be the girls' play area. It's just he's away a lot. He doesn't know. He's like, well, I bought this and I told you about it.
Can we get?
Like,
oh my gosh! And then every time you open the doors to it, and then it would close to let people in.
Jen, I will be sending over a contract for some more blogs for the $5,000 it takes to buy this. We'll talk about that later. So exactly. So let's talk about Run Disney. We got to run the Princess 5K. It's Run Disney weekend. And of course they had the half marathon, they had the 10K, the 5K, and of course you could do the Princess Challenge. We did all three.
And the yoga.
We'll get to that in a second. Kyla and Jen and I, and of course their respective others, Brady and Frank, all went down. We all got to run together, except for Frank, who you didn't tell him to sign up, and so he didn't know about it.
He was our cheer squad. That was his job.
So he was the cheer squad.
We took pictures at the finish line.
We met up with Sarah Goes Bananas from Purple Banana Travel. Sarah was there to join us. We met up with her actually at the race, and so that was a lot of fun. So I want to talk a little bit about the race itself, a little bit about the weekend, because Jen has been there before, so she can kind of compare to, okay, that they did it this way this time, they did it this way last time. Comparison. Kyla and I both never been. We've never done a Run Disney event, so I think we'll have some great perspectives here. Signed up last June, so these are things you sign up for months and months and months in advance. And I'm guessing we're expecting Next Princess to be signed up for the sign up to come out like in June again. Is that kind of what we're thinking?
Typically,
the 20th.
Yeah. They typically have it the same time frames for signups,
right?
For the Run Disney event.
I remember signing up last year I felt like we were all trying to jump on it immediately, but it didn't feel like it was like sold out in the first 2 or 3 minutes. Like I kind of got to it like a little bit later
It
on.
was sold out very quickly. We were like,
was
in
very
Oh, was
quick.
it? Okay.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. I don't
Yoga
remember.
was sold
I don't
out
remember
in
how fast.
5
So
minutes.
In hour,
Good.
it was like within hours, and certain events sell out more quickly than
Yeah.
others based on capacity and how many runners they can accommodate. And that's kind of always how it is. I will say like the regular marathon, the January one, that one tends to sell out like super. I mean, they
Well, that's
all
the
do,
big one. That's the
really,
one that
'cause that's
everybody
the
really
big
wants.
one, and that's when you
Mhm.
can run the dopey. Food and wine, or sorry, wine and dine. There we go. The wine and dine half marathon usually sells out pretty quickly as well. So yeah.
Well, I didn't really realize that the January marathon weekend is the only one to do the marathon. I was thinking that the Princess
Mhm.
was the only one without a marathon. Everything else had it, and apparently not. It's 5K, 10K, and then a half marathon.
Yep.
And that's it. And so I
That
had
either
no
day.
idea. I'm sorry?
I don't think I realized that either, that January is the only one with the full marathon.
Well, not that I'm going to be running a marathon anytime soon, because people have asked me, "Oh, you can do the marathon now?" No, I'm not. I will never do a marathon. I have no reason to do a marathon. There's no 10K. Maybe I might try to train for like the half marathon, just to kind of do the whole, because the whole medal thing. I want all the medals now. I want the whole completer set. I want the whole set. Walk around with like, look at my medals. That people, while you're in the parks, are like, good job. But when you come home, nobody cares. That's kind of what I want. It's like
Sounds about
ears,
right.
lounge flies, Disney pins at the parks. People are like, those are awesome. That's right. I collected these. You get home and your friends are like, okay. And you're like, no, please look at this. I need you to look at these things. I spent money on this. This is important.
Look at this Bed Knobs and Broomsticks Loungefly that I went and bought immediately when Angela Lansbury died, because I thought there was going to be a rush to buy it. I need you to be impressed, friends. I need you to be impressed.
I was like, look at this. And they're like, oh, I love Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. No, that's not what this is.
That
Stop
is
it.
not
I
this.
hate you. I hate you. So so Run Disney, there are 4 big weekends. There is there's the Wine and Dine, which is in November. That's the
Mhm.
Food and Wine Festival marathon. There's the big one, which is the January marathon weekend. There's the Princess, and there's the springtime. That happens every year.
Mhm.
And they do sign up anywhere from 6 to 8 months in advance. I
Yep.
think March is for the November coming up
Mhm.
this year. And every
Yeah.
year has a theme. They'll release the theme
Yes.
for the medals and stuff. I think this past time for January's marathon weekend, they had the
Yes.
retro medals, which were so
Those
super
were
cool. Like
yeah.
the 90s style characters and medals.
Yeah,
You can
that
do
was
virtuals,
cool.
which I have done virtual before, which is really
Mhm.
you're paying all you're doing is paying for the medal itself. Like I did a virtual, I think last summer for the Lion King for the 5K, and I just paid like $80, and I mean it's an honor system. I can just report it, and they send me a medal no matter what I say, and because
Yeah.
I paid for it or whatever. But it was cool to actually be able to go down there and do something. So Kyla, you signed up for Sunrise Yoga.
Yes.
First of all, what is that concept? Why did you do it? And talk a little bit about the yoga, the whole process, and how that worked.
I thought more of you were going to sign up, by the way. And it was
Oh, I
just
told
me.
you flat out, there's no way I'm signing up for yoga. So,
There was like 3 guys there.
Right.
I love yoga, and for years I had watched a live yoga in front of the castle. Maybe it was Run
Mhm.
Disney, and I just didn't realize at the time. But when we were living in our old house and Bella was much smaller, so like 8-9 years ago, we
Mhm.
would do it live with I believe her name is Dana Brady, who directs this and does the yoga.
Hmm.
So I was always like, oh my gosh, how great would it be to actually be there in person for the sunrise doing yoga, which I love doing anyway. So
Right.
obviously the opportunity presented itself. I sign up. It is incredibly early in the morning, and we were actually done before sunrise.
Oh my gosh. What?
But what was so crazy is that, like after the 50th, this is not the first time that I've been in Magic Kingdom before the sun rose. So
Right.
it's like very, I don't know, it's like it's not eerie, but it's just like, it's so
It's peaceful.
quiet. Yes,
Mhm.
it's so peaceful. It's so quiet. And you're just like walking down Main Street and everything is lit up and the castle's like regal and beautiful.
Yeah.
And, basically Run Disney provides the transportation. So you're grabbing the bus from your resort at 3:30 in the morning
Mhm.
and you arrive to the TTC, Ticket and Transportation Center, to take the ferry over to the Magic Kingdom. That is the only mode of transportation that brings you over to the Magic Kingdom. So then you're kind of like corralled, through security, and they take you in very small groups down Main Street. So you are waiting at the train station for your group and just kind of like slowly shuffling, moving forward step by step. And then they take you in very small groups. They take you on the sidewalk down Main Street. You are not to go down the middle of Main Street. You listen very carefully to the instructions. So you are going down the sidewalk. And then
any reason for did they tell you why? I mean, they just don't want people messing things up on Main Street, or
basically because halfway back on Main Street are up until where the yoga mats are spread out, because you are in Main Street.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
Right.
So the hub is completely filled with yoga mats, and then they went probably about halfway back on Main Street. And there are cast members kind of like spread out in between to help you with the moves if you can't see the stage, because the stage is like a little bit far away if you're like all the way back on Main Street. And then, you get to keep your Run Disney mat. They give you water, the carrying strap, a cooling towel. They're out there on the stage. There were a couple of surprises with characters coming out. And then it was like a very, it was very beginner, which was fine with me.
Right.
I'm not super advanced or anything, but it was just very enjoyable and very peaceful and quiet. And it was great to be doing sun salutations in front of Cinderella Castle before the sun rose. Like, it's so amazing. Cool.
So it's a rare time when you're in the Magic Kingdom when it's dark and the castle is lit and you're not. I like that. Very nice. Just kidding.
That.
But
yeah, I have no interest in yoga, and I don't besmirch anybody who does it. It's not my thing. Run Disney's hard in terms of you got to get up early. So if you're doing the 5K and the 10K and the half, that is like a 3 a.m. morning for like 3 straight days.
Every morning.
Your park time is nil. And I have clients who do this, and I've got some clients who go down for a couple, several days. They'll get like a 4 or 5 day stay at a hotel or at the resort, and they'll get like 1 day at the park, maybe 2, because he's like, I don't have the interest. I can't go to the park. It's like, I'm too exhausted, which after 1 day we were exhausted.
I feel like we powered through though. Like
we did. Like
easy enough to like not have kids with us to go back, like after yoga, after our 5K, we all like took a nap, showered, and then we were like raring to go. And I think like the adrenaline gets you through too, because like I was up 3:30, 3 mornings in a row, considering the day we flew down.
Oh yeah, because you flew down. Yeah, right.
And then yoga, and then the 5K the next day. But I think we talked about like next year, like, Jen, you and I can do yoga. Frank's not going to do it either. He's on the same page as you, David. And then maybe skipping the 5K and doing the 10K. So you can get that more in between to sleep in.
Which, and when I've done previous events, which I've usually only done one of the events, whether it's been like, okay, I'm just doing the half or I'm just doing a 10K. But then the one time I did want a completer medal. So I did the Wine and Dine 10K half and then got the completer medal on that one. So that was a lot. But yeah, I think like definitely if like starting like yoga, day off from the 5K, because the 5K was fun. But I will say, I think as an experience, I enjoyed the longer races for some of the aspects of the longer races versus the 5K. The 5K is great and it's so accessible and like, there's no pressure. Like you're not worried about.
Right. I mean, we didn't train a whole lot for this.
So. Yeah. Like I didn't have to think about really training on a 5K because, I exercise in general, but you should always train. But like, there was no way I was straight running 3 miles.
5K is not that hard though. It literally is 3 miles. It's really not that hard.
We walked out in the park.
I mean, we walk it and we'll get there to that because we want to talk next, I guess the Expo. Yeah. Because you have to go to the Expo to get your registration, to get all your stuff, to get all your things, your bib, and get your little bag and things like that. And of course, your shirt. And I had no experience with the Expo. I had no experience with ESPN's Wild World of Sports, which is where you're supposed to go. So I caught the bus over there because I didn't know where to go. And race weekend, they have buses frequently going there.
From
if
all
you're there
resorts.
like on a random weekend, you're like, I need to go to ESPN. You might as well Uber it because you may be waiting a long time for a bus to get there. Like a bus
most don't run buses. Most of them
it'll say like Typhoon Lagoon, Blizzard Beach, ESPN, Disney Springs, the La Quinta, Kissimmee, Walmart, Target. I mean, like 15 things on there. So there's no, just Uber it. It's not that expensive.
Yeah.
$14 including tip for me to go. I got there ahead of you guys, and because you guys were stopping off at Enchanted Rose, as you guys are known to do.
It just opened. Like it was like perfect timing as we were walking by.
Well, I mean, no, it's fine because I was at ESPN. And you realize, like, come join us. I'm like, I'm not going to Enchanted Rose and then come back to ESPN. And the way they, part of this is they had it marked, I guess, fairly clearly. But I guess for me, it was hard to find my way around because it was so just like you walk in, the merch store is on the right, but you're not really supposed to go in the merch store. You had to get into a virtual queue. So my virtual number wasn't called until later. And apparently, like the earlier the queue was, like you had like an hour wait to even get in. I walked right in when it was late time for mine.
Because we went later in the day.
Yeah. I don't know what merch was available or was not available earlier in the day that maybe I missed. I don't care. I'm not really worried. But you have to walk up this hill through all the kiosks, all the little stores and all the little vendors and stuff to get into getting your registration, your bib and stuff. And you have to go over here to the expo to get other stuff. And it's just like, it's so spread out. And when I went to get my race bib, you guys didn't have this experience because you guys came later, but when I came through, like you had to walk down a staircase and across the hall, there's another staircase. And I'm like, well, I just go down there, but you couldn't. I had to go down another staircase and basically the circumference of the entire building and then come back up that staircase that I was just looking at to get into the, to get my bib. When you guys came, they put you down both staircases right quick because there was nobody else.
Yeah, there. Because a lot of times people are trying to go, and like, I just know this from previous, from previous expos. Right. People who are coming in and they just want to go straight there and, get their stuff early in the day. And especially,
I'm sure there was a line. I'm sure there's a big line.
Oh yeah. No, there can be a big line. And then honestly, if there are things in demand at the expo, it's the same thing. Like, oh, I have to have this shoe. I have to have this that I know that they're going to sell at the expo. And so the lines will be long. Typically Brady and I are just like, what else? We just want to grab our bib. We want to grab our stuff. We're going to go take a look. So we'll go later in the day and it doesn't bother us. Like we'll do our park time, then we'll go, and then we go,
Other than merch.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, David.
I was going to say, other than merch, Jen, is there any reason to go earlier in the day to get your stuff? I mean, maybe you're just the way your time works out because you want to go to the parks and stuff, but is there any reason to go hit that early crowd to get in other than maybe something special that you want to make sure you get at the merch shop?
That I'm aware of? And somebody who's done more events than me might correct me if I'm wrong. But not that I know of. Now, I don't know how groups work. Like if sometimes people sign up under like Give Kids the World or, some sort of a group that way, perhaps there's a reason, from that perspective. Or if there's a problem with your registration, something's incorrect on it and you're going to have to get it fixed, you might want to go sooner rather than later, to get that taken care of. I mean, you just have to make sure you go while it's open. If you don't get your bib and things, like you cannot race. So if you're, if something happens, you always want to plan to get in like enough ahead of time that you're going to be able to get your stuff. Because there is not an option for someone else to pick it up for you.
Yeah, they've changed that. Apparently, you cannot sell them. You can't pass them off. It's you sign
and you
up,
can't get somebody else to pick it up.
Yeah, and it's non-refundable. So if you can't go, you lose that cost. Because there was a chance I was considering not going just to save the money, and that was $100 sunk cost that I was just ready to lose. Which I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I went.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we went later in the day, and there was nothing, like I said, merch wise. I'm like, I have to have this jersey or I have to have this pin because it felt like everything was there. So if there's something that sold out early, I don't know what it might have been. Kyla, your impressions on the sign up, the bid process, the expo. Had you been to ESPN before?
No, I have never been over there before. I thought it was like kind of confusing and, only you being there before us. Like if I had just like arrived, I wouldn't have really had a great idea of where to go. I didn't have to get my Spirit Princess Run Disney jersey, but it was something that I'd seen. And I was like, you know what, this is my first one. I'd love to have that. I'm not, I love merch, but there's usually not a ton of stuff that I like need to have. So I would have been fine if I didn't get it. But I wish they would give an option to just pick up your bib at the front desk of your resort, because going over there and kind of like planning into your day, we all had like a park day. So it was like figuring out when to get over there and making sure we got over there and, timing it and not knowing where you were going to be when your group was called. Like, I thought that was like kind of cumbersome. I just wish that, it's at your desk when you check in at your resort. Like if you don't want any merch. Like
I can kind of understand why they would make you go though, because the expo is full of vendors, and I know the concept of the expo, but it didn't occur to me that's what this was. I guess I don't know where the disconnect was, but you walk in and there's tables of shoe companies, and there's like running companies, and there's running skirts, and there's hats and products and accessories and fuel and protein bars and stuff. And I guess if you could pick them up at your resort, nobody would go. I mean, like I would not.
Well,
have done it
but
all.
not even just that. That would be a lot for the resort to handle, because just think about how backed up the line can get. Like at any given time. And then if people are also trying to get bibs and trying to get like shirts, and then what if you want to exchange your shirt size, because there is that option, so I just think like it needs to be a separate location, because we literally get thousands of runners,
Right. And I wonder how many, I'd love to see the number that sign up for the 5K, the 10K. I would love to know how many guests were at yoga.
Yeah, and I think somewhere they have it listed, sometimes, but in terms of like exactly, I don't remember off the top of my head. I don't know if we can go back and look it up now, but
I'm sure it's on the Goog somewhere.
I'm sure it's somewhere on the Goog.
It's somewhere on Googly. We can look it up.
But they necessarily have to limit the capacity, because otherwise it would be impossible, A, to fit everybody on Main Street for yoga, B, to like get everybody. And I feel like yoga is the most limited capacity.
Yes, for sure, because you're only on Main Street. That's it.
Right. Yeah, because there's nowhere else for people to be. And I feel like the 5K has quite a bit of capacity because it's only 3 miles. And the other thing, of course, whenever you're getting into the half marathons, that's where you really you have to make sure that you've trained. You have to keep a 16-minute mile, which is not a crazy fast. Like you can fast walk it, but you are not going to be stopping, because if you're submitting your time, like you do not have to submit a time for 5K. You can say, I think I'm going to complete it in such and such. And that's how they assign your corral. So corrals,
like corral A.
Yeah, like corral A for some of you who were like real like,
and that's,
I'm
okay,
gonna
so that's
run,
the thing too.
I'm gonna run a 9-minute mile.
When it comes to sign up, I mean, I can run a 9-minute mile. I've done it before.
10-minute mile.
But like,
I was like, what's wrong with you?
when you're signing up, like, and I had no, like, I obviously name, address, whatever, weight, height, and how many miles. I'm like, I can run a 10 to 12-minute mile easily. Not a big deal. I've done that before many times, and so that's what I put. Not thinking about like, this is where they're going to put you. I'm just answering the questions, not having a clue. So of course I came back. Corral A is where I'm supposed to be, which is kind of the first group of people that leave, and which is fine. But you and Brady were Corral C, and so that's
because we submitted a realistic time,
right. And I was A with you,
and so apparently, like, okay, so we'll talk about Corral in just a second. Early in the morning, when it's race day, okay, we've done with the Expo, we got our bibs and everything. You have to show up with your bibs. They give you safety pins, which I asked. I was like, if we lose our safety pins, do they have extras down there? And they're like, we don't know. So just keep your safety pins handy, or bring some extras. But you put them on your shirt, whatever shirt you want to run in. You don't have to be that person that wears the shirt to the band you're going to go see.
Yeah, and actually, there's like race etiquette. Like people will wear their race shirts, but I've also seen it posited like, nope, you haven't completed it. You don't get to wear it yet. So
the buses. Every resort has buses that leave like 3 to 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, and they just leave, go. And of course, Brady was saying you don't have to get there until at least 4. I'm like, I don't want to get there early, because I kind of want to get, quote unquote, the lay of the land. I want to know what's going on. I don't want to get there at 4 and be like trying to rush over here, because apparently when you arrive, you've got like to walk another mile to get where you need to go.
You're easily walking 1 to 2 miles.
It's a crazy walk to get to the parking lot area where the whole thing starts.
And that is every race I've ever done. Like, because you get dropped off at the Epcot bus stops, and then you have to. Wow.
Right. So I get there, and it's a charter bus, and I get on the bus and everything, and there are people already dressed up, and this is a big cosplay kind of thing too. And I didn't realize, I knew it, but I didn't, I guess I didn't know to the extent that it was. And there were people showing up for this race in full body clothing, full body gear. There was one girl who I saw was literally painted head to toe in blue, dressed as the genie, because this was a princess marathon. The 5K was Jasmine themed. So she had her ponytail at the very top. She was a blue face, whatever. Saw another one of those two. Saw many dudes in beards wearing the Jasmine outfits and stuff. Saw all kinds of different.
Also saw like Jafar's.
Different various light up costumes, non-princess related costumes, things like that. Just all
and then other princesses
and
too, like Belle or
And I think I was gonna say Kyla Disney bounded as Belle, and then you Disney bounded as Rapunzel with the Rapunzel outfit. And I didn't really have a cosplay. I just threw on my B&L shirt, which apparently nobody knows what that is, but it's from Wall-E by and large. Well, Kyla's never seen Wall-E, unfortunately, because she doesn't see movies unless it has a monster in it. Nobody gets shot or thrown with the fishes in Wall-E, so Kyla's out. So the bus gets there, brings me to the beginning of Epcot. So I go inside the gate, go through security. Jenn and Brady arrived not too long after. And again, our friend Sarah comes over, so she's joining us, and they were waiting on Kyla, who has some bus issues. Apparently, your bus got lost.
She was a newbie. wasn't quite sure where we were going or stopping or dropping us off.
Because your resort, well, you were at Boardwalk, is that right?
We were at the boardwalk. Yes.
Boardwalk, right. So you
Which
kept
is
going
real
back and forth
close.
between the boardwalk and the yacht club and the beach club. And then you were sending us messages like, oh my gosh, we're going back to the beach club. What's happening? And so it's like 4:10 when you finally come running in the door. And the 4 or 5 security lanes, they're down to 1 security lane. And hardly anybody's trickling in except for that flood of people from your bus that's coming in.
And that is a good note though, because the buses are often shared. Like it's not like it's one bus for every resort, because it's super early and you're not going to necessarily have enough to fill up a bus. So like the Grand Floridian had already stopped at the Polynesian before it got to us. So even though, like, thank goodness we were like second in line to get on, because I'm telling you, there were 20 people behind us that did not get on that bus. And we were there for like the 3:30 bus. So
also remember too that if you're on property, which we highly recommend you stay on property for a race, it's just for convenience sake. They strongly suggest you take the bus transportation. You can drive or take rideshare, but it's very hard. It's really very hard, very inconvenient. You don't
especially
want
for the marathon or the half, because so many of the roads are actually closed down that early. So
and Disney knows the lay of the land. They know where the buses can go. Your rideshare Julio and his Subaru trying to take you over there from your resort to the parks may not have a clue. And it's
well, to be fair, because like it's shut down, and like your navigation app probably isn't going to catch that those roads are closed, because they're not really closed. They're just kind of temporary.
So we walk all the way down the mile and a half, however long it takes to get to the starting point. And there are 3 corrals, A, B, and C. A being the first corral, which is
there were 4
on our bib. 4 corrals,
D.
A, B, C, D. Okay. So on your bib, it'll say A, B, C, or D, which is where you're supposed to be.
In the 5K. We need to specify.
Yeah, in the 5K.
In the 5K.
We're only talking 5K. You cannot go up a corral. So Jenn and Brady could not have joined us in the A corral, but we can go down a corral. So we decided we would just all wait together in the C corral with Jenn and Brady. And
because A had already left.
Also, A had already left because Kyla got so late.
True.
So that's the other reason to get an earlier bus.
So 8 already left. They're already gone. The way it works is you basically get in this massive, like, big square. So all your people are in one square. This is your corral. That's the corral, whatever. And so they bring up each corral one by one. And so, and I'll speak to the C corral. Of course, you do a little shuffle walk with your massive, like this big blob of people moving up towards this stage. They do a Pledge of Allegiance. They sing Star Spangled Banner. It's a whole sporting event, which is great. Some speakers come up. There was a couple of people on a stage, which was apparently off to our far left, even though we were seeing on a video screen. And there are thousands of people around you. So this isn't just like Main Street in front of the castle, or you're watching fireworks. There are thousands of people surrounding you. You're in this mass of sea of humanity of people. And so when it's finally time for C Corral, they're like, okay, you guys head this way. So we're all just like slowly shuffling our way. We'll shuffle a little bit and then stop. Then shuffle a little bit and then stop. Because what they're doing is, as the C Corral people are getting to the starting line, they're letting a certain group or number of people go, whether 100 or 200 or 50 or whatever. They go, and then you stop. And then we move a little farther. And then this group goes, and then we stop. And then we move a little farther. And
little fireworks go off.
Exactly. Little fireworks go off.
For every starting line.
For everyone. By the way, we're in the parking lot of Epcot for this. We should mention that if people are wondering where exactly these corrals are.
Yes, it is in the parking lot of Epcot. I just also want to say that before you go to the corral, there is typically like a party atmosphere. And we missed a lot of it just because of the time we were just because we were waiting. But they have like photo ops, they have like coffee trucks, they have again entertainment down that way. People are sort of dancing, getting ready until you're released to go to the corrals. Some people just go straight to the corrals because they want to be amongst the first in the corral. What was different for me with the 5K was that it wasn't like, okay, all of A goes, all of B goes, all of C goes. I was like, well, only 4 corrals, because they were doing it in chunks of like for each corral. That's different with the longer races because there are more corrals, at least when I was there. So like you might be in corral S or T, but they're just all smaller. And so like all of corral A goes at the same time.
Right. So we start the race. We got 3 miles to go, and a lot of it's backstage behind Epcot on some roads and stuff. And it's, you're running with a bunch of other people, and by the time you go, you're spread out a little bit. So again, benefit of having that smaller group being led out at one group at a time helps, rather than 4,000 people all running at once. And the group starts to immediately begin to separate as people, some people are slower, some people are faster, some people shoot out of there, and other people are like just walking along. We did a walk, run, which was great. It worked out fine. I think we finally got to mile 1, and I was like, we're just now getting to mile 1? What the crap? Because I felt like we've been running forever. It wasn't too hot. It was very comfortable outside.
Yeah,
it was very
really nice.
Yeah, it was.
Which is probably why they don't do Run Disney events in
it was
July,
a bit humid, but it was
95
good.
degrees.
Correct.
Yeah, it was a little bit
so
humid,
hot in July. Oh my gosh.
I was sweating after 1 mile because we walked, run. Mile 2 starts taking you towards, like, through Epcot. You actually hit into World Showcase. You kind of come in around Mexico. You kind of do the loop, and you go out again. From before you get to Future World, and then you keep running and running. I was actually surprised there were not more characters. I expected characters all along the way. We only saw like 3 that were in Epcot, like actually in the World Showcase, and the lines were super long. People who got there before you, and they were telling us, I think we decided to get in one line. I forget who it was even.
Well, at first it was
nice.
It was
Tiana and
that one was closed, but it was
right.
Tiana, Naveen, and
we
Louis.
hopped in line, and the cast member was saying it's like a 30-minute wait from where you are right now.
Oh no! She said she didn't know it was 30 minutes. She said
okay.
they're changing the characters in 30
minutes.
She
said when you get up there, it will not be Tiana and Naveen.
Correct.
So who knows who could have been? Who knows? And so we talked about it. We kind of went back and forth on it. We had decided to all kind of just take off from there. I think Brady was like, let's go. I'm not waiting for this. Which is a little sad for me. Not that I wanted to wait that long for a character, but I was hoping there would be more characters along the way. I don't know if longer races have more characters. I think that maybe the marathon does, along the way. But, I'm like, all 3 characters we saw, I'm like, we see these characters.
There were a few other ones too that were just slightly off the path, apparently, because like there was a Donald Duck.
I saw Duffy, and nobody cares about Duffy.
And then there was Duffy. But the thing is, so first of all, on the longer races, because you're separating the corrals, those lines tend to not be as long.
Right.
And there are a lot more because there's more space to put the characters, and you're more along highways. So you're getting them at least every mile, if not like every half a mile or so. They'll be at least, again, in my experience, which was pre-COVID, and they've only recently brought back the in-person Run Disney races. But with so many people running a 5K and it's only 3 miles to put characters, you can't put them too many places in World Showcase, where to accommodate the lines and still allow for the runners to go by. So you're not going to get as many character experiences in the 5K. I think it surprised me that there weren't really any in the first mile. We didn't really see any until mile 2.
Right. There was just the DJ.
Yeah, it was just the DJ. And of course the choir. They always have the choir. They always have, at least in my experience.
So good.
They're awesome.
So surprised by that because I didn't know to expect that. That was
that was kind of fun. You're running around the corner, and then there's like an actual 50-person choir singing like hallelujah songs. And it's like, what is happening? This is amazing as you're running by.
It's 4:00 in the morning.
And the marching band.
And there's like a gospel choir singing at me.
Yeah, it is a gospel choir. It's great. And then this year, we'll probably talk about it, but there was one other one that I've never seen on any other race, and it was so exciting.
Well, it was, obviously you run the 3 miles. And again, 3 miles is not hard to walk or run unless you're just completely just cannot walk that far, which is understandable sometimes. But for us, it really wasn't that big of a deal. It was more of a, as a friends, we're like, hey, friend group together, this is going to be fun.
Yeah,
it might be a little different with the 10K because you're doubling the amount of time you're going. And it's like, maybe a little more serious. You have to run a little bit more or whatever. Half marathon, I probably do that by myself. I'm like, don't talk to me. I'm dying right now. And so,
I would definitely be like that for the half. I need music. In fact, I gave Jen one of my earbuds.
We shared.
Together, and I had all this it's like old school dance music.
It was awesome.
Well, and I know that there are marathoners who do half and full marathons, even more, that talk about kind of that dead mile, that wall you hit. And I was on the monorail. I was listening to a family talk about running the half mile, and the mom was talking about how she did the half marathon last year for the first time, and she was like, mile 6, 7, 8, 9, I was fine. She goes, I get to mile 10, and for some reason I'm like, I hate myself. What am I doing? I want to stop. I don't like this anymore. I hate it. And she's like, I had to finish 3 more miles, and it was just so miserable.
I will tell you, it's mile 9 for me. Yeah. I get to mile 9. I'm like, I'm done. Like I'm done. Can I be done now?
Miles.
So, I don't even know how long it would take me to go 13 miles. I don't have a clue how long it would take me to do 13 miles.
I was 2.5 hours on my last.
You know,
time.
I can do that in Epcot, but it takes me like 7 hours because I'm walking from, attraction to attraction. So any thoughts on the actual like race itself before we get to the what happens after the race, like in terms of being in the race itself?
All right,
Jen, you had some
this
stuff,
year
whatever.
I've got a shout out. They had the jammers out, and you could
Yes!
play
They
with the
did.
jammers.
Yes.
I was like, what? So I'm like, it's awesome. And I was like, how is there not more of a line to do this? This is
Yeah,
great.
Jen was jamming with jammers.
Nobody
Kylie
was
got to do
alive
it.
for that.
You got to walk
Perfect.
up and get the drumsticks and actually jam on the trash can. And I'm not somebody who I can't sing and I don't have a ton of rhythm, but for some reason all rhythm left me.
Ditto.
Like I had no idea how to keep any pace of anything, so I'm just banging on it like I'm my kid hitting a pan or whatever. And I do a little flare where I throw the drumstick up, and thankfully I catch it because that would have been a dreadful moment. And then but yeah, we all got to go up and get our video with the jammers. It was just really super cool. Because those guys are legendary in Epcot. I mean, it was great.
And like
was
they
great.
would play up behind people. Like obviously you can't see what they're doing because they're behind you,
Mhm.
but they would like totally
Right.
play up with what you were doing. It was really
Right.
good.
And there's photographers all along the way taking your
Oh, yes.
pictures, which is all fun. And of course, by the first or second photographer, we kind of figured it out where they were. So as we would come up to them, we would start running and doing like
We would
exercise
call it
poses, like
out.
we're killing it, we're pointing at the
Like-
camera.
like,
And as soon as we get past, we're like, okay, let's
We're all
walk
like,
again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
can see them in the little green tents, and it says
Yes.
photo pass, so you know
Yep.
exactly where the photographers are.
Yeah, I've got several. I've got one pointing at the camera, and the other I'm like, look at my Usain Bolt pose. Yeah. And then afterwards, okay, let's walk. Woo.
Walk break.
Walk break.
We'd get by. We're like, okay, walk now. Kyle and I,
Um,
there was a great one of us. I felt like it was funny. We're like both looking at the camera, like doing this
Mhm.
weird.
Oh
pose,
yeah,
like,
yeah. You got some good. I mean, there's some good shots,
There's some
and
good ones.
if you're an annual pass holder, you get them for free. They're downloaded into your system. You can also purchase
Wait,
them.
no. If you have an annual pass with Memory Maker,
Yeah, that's
'cause
what I
you
mean.
can
Sorry.
buy
Annual pass
with-
memory.
yeah.
Yes, that's what I mean. Sorry. Which my mother-in-law does, so I get all the pictures, which is great. I had to share my login with Kyla. I'm like, here, get your pictures. Do it.
Thank you,
There's too many of them.
mother-in-law. Thank
So
you,
there's
mother-
too many of them. Because I was gonna download them and send them to you, but I'm like, there's 30 with Kyla in it. I have like 4 with me in it. This is ridiculous. So here, take your pictures. So the race ends. We get past the finish line, which is great. Of course, we pass Frank, which is Kyla's significant other in the stands, and he gets a good picture of all of us running by. And
yeah.
because again, Kyla didn't tell him to sign up, so all he had to do was
I
cheer on.
just didn't think he'd like want
It's
to.
okay.
He had like FOMO about it. And
Why would
now
he want to hang out with
going-
his? Why would he want to hang out with his friends? So
He hadn't even met you yet.
we finish up and we come to this big, large parking lot area, and of course this is one little bit of negative feedback I have here. I feel like the medals were very impersonal. From what I understand, they used to not only would they drape them over your neck as you walked by, it was kind of more of a celebration. This year they just handed them to you in a little plastic wrapping, like here. I kind of felt maybe it's a COVID thing where they don't want to touch the medals, but at the same time, I'm like, and maybe you don't want to put them around my neck. But you're handing it to me like you're handing me a wet wipe. And it's
I'm
just something
also
impersonal about that.
I'm also wondering if it's a 5K thing versus the longer races, but I don't
Maybe.
know because I have not done a longer race since
Mhm.
pre-COVID. So I
Right.
don't have.
I feel like
context
having
for that.
somebody there just taking them out of the wrapper and then handing it to you is a little more personal. I guess giving to me like the medal instead of like here's a piece of wrap, and you got you're looking for a trash can, you get this plastic in your hand trying to find the trash can to throw it in, and
I agree.
so
I agree on that. I thought it
you
was
get
a
your
little-
medal
I did
hanging
not
on your neck. It's great. I mean, you walk around, you're like, look at this medal I just earned because I went 3 miles. Yay, I'm a hero.
It's
You know, of course
medal, though.
they have kiosks set out. You can get some fruit, some drinks, and Powerade along the way. They have water and everything. And then of course they have a little alcoholic bar set up where you can get mimosas and beer and things like that.
Well, they
get
do give you
Joffrey's.
a box. They do give you a box
Yes.
after you're
Snack
done running.
box.
So,
There's a little
With
snack
the
box, which is
plastic cheese. How
With
could
the-
you
yes.
dude, it's got the plastic. Yes, it's got
You have
pretzels.
to mention the plastic cheese.
I didn't
I was really
realize it
excited
was
about
plastic
that.
cheese, and I had eaten all my pretzels, and I'm like,
Oh,
well, now I have plastic cheese with nothing to go in it. So I'm dipping my finger in the cheese. I'm like, well, just by itself, but
I
okay.
mean, I
you know.
would eat that with a spoon.
I mean, that was not a wrong answer though. The finger. I mean, like you got to do what you got to do. Like,
Right. And there's like cookies and stuff like that going on, and so it's a fun little box of treats and stuff. Some stuff in there I didn't care for. The stuff was great, and I got a banana, which was awesome. And it's a good time to have photo passes out there. You can like take pictures, group pictures, and solo
Mhm.
pictures in front of a banner, and it's just a fun time of I hate to use the word celebration because it makes it sound like overjoyous and bigger than it is, but it is kind of a big celebration because
It is.
all these
We
other people have
celebrate
just
Yeah.
finished their thing, and you're hanging out with people you want to be with, and you're hanging out with
Yes.
your friends, and you're just maybe standing around a table enjoying a drink or a beer or water afterwards, and you've all got your medals on, and except for Frank, who you didn't tell him about it, so he couldn't have a medal. And there's
They can
coffee
meet
there,
us,
and we're
though.
just he
He
there's
could meet us.
he did meet us, but there was just it was just a lot of fun. It was a lot of
Yeah, it
fun,
was a good time.
and overall. So Jen, you have been on the race before.
Mhm.
That time versus this time, I don't want to say which one you like better, but I mean, are there any stark differences in the two that you see, or is it kind of the differences are negligible?
The handout of the medals was the big difference. In
Mhm.
terms of the post race, I would say there were less, or I should fewer. There we go. I don't want to say kiosks, but I feel like there were a few more vendors at some of the longer races. But then
Mhm.
again, a lot of my experience was with the main race where you got a ton of sponsors. You have there are
Right.
tents set up in the parking lot for the people who ran for Give Kids the World or ran for such and such a group or whatever, where people could meet, out there. But largely it was the same. I just felt like, at least for the 5K, it was a slightly smaller scale where people were meeting up and doing everything, but it felt pretty similar. And then, of course, you've got the buses over
Mhm.
there to take you back to the resorts. At that point, if the monorail is running, so when we have finished the halves, halves.
Mhm.
In the past, we would, if we were on the monorail, we would just go head to the monorail, which is adding another half a mile, 3/4 of a
Mhm.
mile to
Mhm.
what you've just gotten done running.
Right.
But yeah, it really, the celebration was still there. People are still excited. So maybe people are a little less tired because it was 3 miles versus
Right.
6
Right.
or
Well,
15.
it was one of those events too where I think all of us immediately were like, we want to do this again. Like,
Yeah.
this is something we want to
Mhm.
experience. Maybe not
Yes.
tomorrow, but we want to do this again.
Absolutely.
Kyla, your impressions of the race as a Run Disney rookie for your first race, did it meet expectations, exceed anything, anything in particular stand out? What were your impressions of your first Run Disney race?
I loved it. And honestly, I thought ahead of time with this many people, how was it going to be super organized? But it
Mhm.
really is, aside from my newbie bus driver. But aside from that, it really is. And that's what I was texting you guys, okay, where do I have to go beforehand? Where's the bus stop? How do I know what time to be there? And of course, Run Disney gives you all of this communication beforehand, but it's still, as a newbie, and not knowing exactly what's happening, that made me a little anxious. But then once you're there, it is pretty much all laid out for you.
Yeah.
Giant signs at the resort, Run Disney Transportation here,
Mhm.
here's the bus stop. And then getting there, and there's just hundreds of cast members and volunteers telling you where to go and literally just directing you on that path. So that's what I was most nervous about, but they did such a great job with it that I have no issues with that. And then it was so much fun. And
Mhm.
then, like you said, as soon as it was done, we were we all have to do this again. And Frank's I need to be in on it next time. And then we talked about doing the 10K. So we'll have to talk more about that
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are my takeaways. It was so much fun. It
Yeah.
really was organized. It was so much fun to do with others, doing yoga
Yeah.
by myself.
Yeah.
That was a long time to. And
Kyla, I'll do it with you next year. I'll do yoga with you next year.
It was just so much by myself at 3:30 or 4 in the morning when I could have just had a little chat with someone and been a little bit more awake, a little
Right.
pep talk or something. And it was just so zen, the whole point of
Right.
it. But doing it with friends that totally made it. It was just
Yeah.
such a great experience.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and I'm like you could tell me all day long how it's going to be laid out and give me maps and everything, but until I visualize it and see it, there's going to be some
Mhm.
anxiety there going, what if I miss a
Right.
sign? What if this map is not quite correct? What if it's telling me to go left and I actually am misreading
Yes,
the map or
totally.
whatever? But yeah, you're right. Once you get there, it's oh, okay, and
Oh,
honestly,
you
once you get
can't-
into Epcot, you
You
follow the
can't miss
crowd.
it.
Yeah,
You
just follow
literally
the
can't
crowd
miss it.
more than anything else. And they had the corrals marked and things like that, so that helped. And but yeah, I think this was a great social event. I think it was a lot of fun for just people to be together, friends to be together, family, kids can run it. I honestly think that Campbell could probably do this in a year or two.
Oh, yeah.
It's just 3 miles. Again,
No,
we
that's
could
true,
walk run
definitely.
3 miles. Your kids could probably do it pretty easy, and and get their own little medal and everything. Which the medal would not be that important in Campbell, but I think for your girls, they might really be proud
Oh,
of
they'd
something like
love
that
it.
because we're like, I ran a 5.
They would love it. That being said, I wouldn't bring them until they were probably teenagers, because just thinking about like how we went back to, we all went back to the resort, showered, napped for a couple hours. Like my girls would be like, we gotta go to a park, and
Right.
like want to do rides all day, and then they would crash way earlier.
Right.
So it's definitely like a different experience, I'm sure, for families. So I would maybe like
I will say that was a long day. Like I was so exhausted that night. I was at dinner. We were all at Flying Fish, and
oh my
literally
God,
when the guy was
so
when the guy
tired.
was
You were
giving the menu, when he
so
was giving
tired.
the selections, I dozed off like some of his menu talk. I was just so tired. And I'm hoping I wasn't bad company. I mean, I really hope I wasn't like
No, you were just
tired, but
I mean,
but
you
I
made
was
it
just,
to the dance hall with us.
I did.
after
And that was
even.
the other thing too, is we all went to the Atlantic Dance Hall because we were going to go to Jelly Rolls, but Jelly Rolls is like $20 to get in. And I'm like, I'm not paying
But
$20 to stay
but
for
at the
20
time,
minutes.
but by the time
So-
we got there, it was like,
Right.
okay, it's not worth it for this amount of time that's left.
Well, I
Right,
don't
right.
know that I would have paid it anyway. But we went to the Atlantic Dance Hall, and I've never been, and it really is just like there's a DJ. And
People are
there's a
dancing.
dance area, and there's like a little
That was so
raised
fun.
stage area where people have tables and stuff. And there was a grandma out there that was shaking her thing.
Oh
and
my gosh,
she kept
it's
looking at me and
hilarious.
Brady and Frank, telling us, "This music sucks. This music is so bad. You need to get out there and start dancing." And we're like, "We're
really.
good." She accosted the people behind us because apparently it was their fault the music sucks.
Oh my god.
And then of course she got on the dance floor and shook her moneymaker. Her being
You know
65
what
years
that
old. I was like, "Go
reminded
girl."
me of? That bar reminded me of like old school downtown Disney, like Pleasure Island.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like
It's,
No,
that's what it was.
it very much is like the old Pleasure Island clubs, and it was. But what was I going to say about that? Oh, well, the thing was though, Brady and I took a nap before we went to Flying Fish. Again, we took 2 naps, so you have to give yourself grace on these race weekends to just not go like, even if you're like, no, I don't normally nap. Like you have to if you're going to be able to keep going.
Right.
Yeah,
Even I went
Kyla
back and
never
napped
naps,
after the race.
No,
went
I
back and
gotta
napped.
go.
I hardly
Can't
ever
break it. Can't stop, won't stop. Frank's the
right.
opposite, but I'm like, no, we're going.
I'm like, if I would like to enjoy myself and not be terrible company, I need to close my eyes for like 45 minutes. And that's what we did. Like we left you guys in Animal Kingdom? Question mark? Wherever we
Nomad
left
Lounge.
from.
I don't remember.
Didn't we go to Epcot after?
And we did go to Epcot. Yeah. We did go to the Epcot.
And
So
then
we
you
were from
walked
Animal
through
Kingdom.
to go on the monorail.
Yes. And then we got on the monorail, went back, like relaxed, slept a little bit, and then we were good to go for the evening. But David didn't sleep or go back to change. So he just kept pushing through and he kept walking through the
I was doing
park.
it for content. That's all I was doing, was getting content for
Yeah,
you
but
guys.
you
That's
needed to
all I
sleep.
was doing. So
Right.
as we wrap up here, I would say for anybody who's never done a Run Disney event and you're like, you know what, I think I wouldn't mind trying to do this. First of all, know when the signups are. Know when the signups are on Run Disney. Go to rundisney.com. That's Disney's page. Look at the events.
Mhm.
Know when the registration is and get ready for it. Now, back in the day, you could contact your favorite travel agent, me, Kyla, Jenn, and we could actually get you signed up early. Well, they don't do that anymore,
Nope.
unfortunately. They've taken that out of our hands, for better or for worse. So definitely, I would say contact your local travel agent, Jenn, myself, Kyla, and we can kind of get you set up on your room package, whatever. Go ahead and get your rooms and stuff. Especially if you're a value resort person, Pop sells out like that because it's so close to Epcot, and Pop is one of those that it's almost like a step above the All-Stars. People want Pop, and it sells out so super quick. So go ahead and look at getting those as soon as you can. As soon as registration comes up, get online, do it. If you need somebody else to do it for you, then do it.
Yeah.
You don't have to have this entire line of you don't have to be like my weight, my height, whatever. It's basically a basic registration. They send you some more information, then you fill it out from there. Get it as soon as you can, go ahead and get it. But understand, it is a non-refundable cost. So if you're going to do the Princess Challenge and it's like $300 for all of it, just know that if you can't go, you've lost.
You are out
$300.
the money.
You're out the money. You can get your money back from the resort stay, but you're out the money. So it is a cost you just have to be prepared for. But it also helps too that it's like 8 months in advance, because I feel like if I bought something for $300 8 months ago, but now I can't use it, it doesn't sting quite as much knowing it was $300 8 months ago versus yesterday. So there's that. Just pay attention to the signs when you get there, when you clock in, check in your resort. Pay attention to the signage. Pay attention to the times you need to be there, that kind of thing. Do a little bit of training. Don't just go off the couch, after a summer of just doing nothing but eating fried chicken and wings and watching TV, and then suddenly 3 miles. But again, it's not hard. You can walk 3 miles fairly quickly and be okay. If you're doing something like a 10K or a half marathon, you might want to start putting a little extra leg work into that. So, but yeah, otherwise, I think it's a worthy event. I think it's something that everybody should try to do. I've done it at least once.
It's a good time.
You know, I've had clients reach out to me and ask me about it. They're like, "Hey, we saw you did the Run Disney events. You're addicted now, aren't you?" I'm like, "I'm not addicted to anything. No, I'm not. I might do it once again here and there, but I'm not like I have to do every race now." But I do like those medals. Those medals are pretty cool. So, Jen, anything else to add in there for somebody who wants to do a Run Disney? Maybe they haven't done it before, or they're considering Run Disney.
I mean, I think you basically covered it, and just know that sometimes the training part is not the most fun, but there is so much energy when you're there with everybody running. It truly is like that makes the experience. That's because honestly, that's not my workout of choice. Running is not my workout of choice.
Right.
I do it for the Disney races. Like, and now I will also say, if you're going to do a longer race, definitely for the half. I'm trying to remember if you have to do this for the 10K. I don't remember. You do have to submit proof of time. So you are going to have to find a local event somewhere that you run to send
I didn't know that.
in proof of time. So like we ran a Pittsburgh 10K, I guess, in prep for a marathon to submit our times to get our corrals for the half marathon. So you are going now, if you've done previous Run Disney races, I do believe they will take those, at least pre-COVID, they would take those times into account. I think if it was within a certain amount of time, but just be prepared for that is a separate,
So
step
Jen,
that you'll have
quick,
to do.
The concept of getting swept for the audience, what does that mean on the bigger 5K? Didn't really matter. I don't even know if
they don't really. No, they don't really.
But for the half and the full, what does it mean to get swept?
So there are balloon ladies that will walk. The balloon ladies, because they carry balloons, you can see them coming. They are basically the last ones to leave, and they are pacing a 16-minute mile. So with every corral in the longer races, you have pacers. They're at the front of the corral. They are going to run, whatever a certain pace is.
Right.
So they're the 16-minute pacers. You need to be and finish ahead of the balloon ladies because you have to finish within the 16.
Right.
With 16-minute miles. So even if you're the last one to depart, you have to keep that 16-minute mile. So if you are walking, you are probably not stopping for characters. So you want to train to get into a higher corral to give you that time because, last half I did, it was when I was corral J, which is like right in the middle. So we were fine. We could run, walk, whatever. We never even saw the balloon ladies. But if something happens and you are not through to a certain point by a certain time, they will come sweep you in a golf cart and take you back, and you do not get your medal because you have to be like out of the Magic Kingdom by a certain time. That's number one, because you're not running through Magic Kingdom when it's open. But then there's like other roadways you have to be off of by a certain time. There does come a point where it's like, okay, they're not going to sweep you, but
because they have to complete them. They have to get the parks open, get the roads open.
Correct.
And so they have to get this race done, and you can't be there doing a 28-minute mile just lollygagging at 10 a.m. on mile 21. It just can't happen.
Exactly. Now, normally once the parks are open, because like on the full, especially, or even on the half, you are probably running through Epcot when it's open, or maybe even Animal Kingdom and Epcot, because you'll see people posting like Brady rode Expedition Everest when he did the full. Like he literally got in a single
crazy, right? Like,
that is awesome.
No, that's what like people do it. It's like one of those things that people do. So
I would do that.
At that point, like, yes, you have to be, but then you have to run on the road again to get back to Epcot. Now, once you're in Epcot, I mean,
just stay ahead of the balloon ladies.
You need to stay ahead of the balloon ladies, basically.
Kyla, any thoughts on yoga for somebody who wants to sign up for yoga? Maybe maybe they know they've done yoga, but they don't know anything about Sunrise Yoga. What would you tell people in terms of what to expect, what to be prepared for, what to bring for Sunrise Yoga?
You know what? You don't have to bring anything. And they told us ahead of time that they were going to be providing the mats. So it's not like something super bulky that you have to pack or anything. Also, what was really important is that they did start, or the whole hour was beginner level. So you don't have to worry about doing like
that's nice,
super weird like poses or super difficult poses, because like some people I heard say that this was their first time ever doing yoga. And I'm like, wow, what like an event to sign up for if you've never done yoga?
Wow, that's great. Yeah.
You do you. But I mean, super beginner. They provide everything. It's just like such a calm experience, and you're in the Magic Kingdom before the park opens, staring at the castle.
No medal, but you get to keep the mat.
You keep the mat.
That's awesome. Very nice.
You keep
Very
the
cool.
mat and the cooling towel and the carrying strap that they set up in a hidden Mickey on every
Love it. Love it. That's perfect. That looks like a great place to stop. I think that we've exhausted the Run Disney experience. And I look forward to doing it with you guys again. I think it's gonna be great. We've already talked about doing the Princess again, maybe even trying to make it an annual event if we can, just for whoever on our team.
And
or anybody
hopefully
else that
we'll have
wants to
some more
come,
friends
spouses.
join us this time.
That would be great. That'd be fun. And I think I probably would do the 5 and the 10K. I think I'd try to do both. I don't know that I'd do the half, not yet, but I think I might try to do both. Or Kyla, you can do the 5, I can do the 10, and Jen can do the half, and that way we as a group
Why are you giving me the half?
all of it.
No,
I'm just kind of divvying out there. So, Kyla, where can we find you online? People want to follow you and your fabulous Instagram account, by the way, because Kyla posts at least once or twice a day, and great posts, great stories. I love following Kyla's account and stealing ideas and passing them off as my own. Where can we find you?
You can find me at Disney Geek 27 on Instagram.
Perfect.
I'm also on Facebook.
Jen, where can we find you? Although you don't post nearly as much, so I just steal Kyla's stuff and not yours.
I know. Well, here's the thing: is I post when I'm away, but when I'm just working, and I should get better at that. I understand that, but yeah,
you're away a lot though, so you don't post a ton when you're away because you
travel. I post more when I'm away.
Yes.
Yeah, I post more when I'm away than when I'm at home. I'm at Aponostar Jen, and I'm Jen_Novotny on Instagram.
Perfect. And don't forget to go to aponostartravel.com where you can find all of us there to help sign up for your Run Disney races or Run Disney resort stays. Also, there's something we're doing on Facebook and Instagram. Basically, it's your favorite dining experiences. We're kind of counting them down, kind of like a March Madness munchie kind of thing, meal madness, whatever you call it. And you can go and you can vote on your favorite restaurants. Everything from Crystal Palace to Tusker House to whatever. So make sure you follow Aponostar, Facebook, Instagram, and all that. Which leads me, of course, to my pages, Instagram at The Magic on $1, and of course at Facebook, Disney on $1, Magic on $1, where I'm doing the 10th annual, done it for 10 years now. I'm so proud of this 10th annual Magical Movie Madness, where you can go and vote on your favorite movies, your favorite Disney movies in a way to determine your favorite Disney movie of all time. The 1992 Aladdin is the defending champion. We'll see how far it goes. This morning, The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad advanced to the next round in a vote.
Ooh, good one.
Shocked. 9 years in this tournament. That's never happened before. And I was like, wow, did not expect that. So who knows? I don't know that it's going to win the whole tournament, but it's fun to see it advance. So go and find all this stuff there. But Kyla, this has been a treat. We love having you on.
Thank you. It's always so fun.
I mean, I like having you on more, but Jen's like, this is our podcast. I need to be the only girl on this show. And I'm like, all right.
Because you would totally say that, Jen.
Yeah,
probably.
Well, yeah.
So thanks to Kyla. Thanks to Jen. I'm Dave. And hey, don't forget, sign up for Run Disney with your Phoenicians.
Thank you for listening to the Main Street Electrical Podcast. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at the MSE Podcast, or visit our website at themsepodcast.com. Be sure to subscribe, and may all your wishes come true.